Good morning. So I don't know after this big panel whether it is cognitive enrichment, because I definitely can't call it as cognitive overload, because so much of information to gather, so much of information to remember. I don't know how many lines of my presentation I'll leave, means I'll forget, just in case it happens, just means you'll have to just excuse me. But today I'm going to talk about something which will, because the entire previous session was how do we now prepare people for the future, and I'm going to talk about how do we train them so that they are prepared for future. So before that, I thought I'll just talk about cricket, right? So I think we all remember, how many are cricket fans here? Okay, very few hands. And how many were test match fans? Or were, or there? Okay, very few. Because I think when we all transitioned from the test match to IPL, I think there are a lot of things which, when they launched it in 2008, people just felt that this is something which will definitely not work. Okay, this is going to literally create, not engage people with the cricket. Okay, and then it will literally destroy the cricket. But if you just maybe come from there to what it is now, right? Maybe say 12 years down. If you say today, cricket is a brand, or IPL is a brand for cricketers, where it does make people, it does create cricketers, right? It has become a brand in itself, right? And nurturing ground for upcoming cricketers, and so it gives opportunities to many, and it has become a market segment in itself, right? I suppose a lot of you would agree on that, because I think we just are in that not IPL, but we're in the T20 space in any case, right? And now having mentioned this, if you look at the way we used to do, we heard from people about how the retail was, how retail is, and we also heard from Dr. Jai Kumar that 15 minutes getting a cake, right? It's like a dream, right? Maybe a few years ago, it was envisioned something like that. But now today, our learners are in similar way, right? Learners have no time to learn because they are either running behind the numbers or a delivery or literally on the move. So how do we engage them when such small things? And then when microlearning a decade ago, right, when it literally got introduced, because that's a buzzword which started happening, okay, and we didn't have clarity as to what exactly it is. Will it really work, or it is just there because somebody just spoke about, and is it really overrated, right? And also when microlearning literally came into scene, we were thinking that, okay, we have 10 pages of content, let's make it to 10 pieces and deliver, right? That's our understanding we started like that, all of us. But today, of course, if you just see how it has gone, right, definitely microlearning is something that you all have been doing this one way or the other, right? Because microlearning has become really very important, and it's an objective driven, right? If you have to teach somebody something so that they become ready to learn and implement the job, that's where microlearning becomes an important thing. And one other important aspect is we should not be teaching theories or histories today to learners, right? They don't have time, because that's something that they will learn when they really have time. But today we need to teach them what is really relevant to do their job better, so that it becomes easier for them to carry out their task. And also, microlearning has really helped all of us, where if we are able to strategize correctly, we can implement that before a formal program. During, say, if you have a day-long training program, how do we engage people? Because that is engaging people during the program. And also, most importantly, what happens post-program? Because a lot of us, we forget the learner after we roll out a program, and the learner also forgets the program, right? And then what happens, that's when the challenge comes in that, okay, everyone are trained on, say, for example, fire safety, and how many are able to literally remember that, so that in case there is an incident, they are able to act the way it is required, and that's what is important and critical. So that is where microlearning can be used effectively, and that's something that some of those we'll cover in the day today. So from what it was to what it is on microlearning, what has actually changed, right? Now we have better understanding of microlearning, right? And we know how and where it can be implemented. And importantly, we should know where it will not work, because we should not try to plant microlearning where we know it is not going to really make impact. And so we'll cover that in brief. And when it can be implemented, definitely what forms can be used. There are varied formats. Already several of you must be using innumerous formats. Okay, and then definitely using technology. We did heard so much of technology that can be used and how to use and make it happen so that it gives us the right analytics so that we are able to make better judgment. It becomes easier for us to make our programs really impactful. Okay. So a quick question. So microlearning, is it new for any of you? How many of you have implemented microlearning in some way or the other? Maybe it is say 50% of your training strategy is microlearning. Okay, or who is in the other category, right, where majority of our training program is microlearning, right? So I think this is where it helps us to assess as to how exactly we are ready to train the people who literally have no time today, but we still need to make them upskill or reskill so that they can do their job better. And also we are in this midst of hybrid era, right? We talked about COVID, and during COVID, we heard from the panel as to how exactly they overcome the challenge. So having been in the hybrid era, what is also important is our learning programs have to be dynamic because it has to be something which is just in time, right? Learner has no time, so we need to help them learn what is really required, move on, and then it cannot be overly long. We just can't afford to have long programs if at all we are targeting our retail staff, right? It has to be something which is short, crisp, and helps the learner. And literally anywhere the learner is, we should be able to deliver that. And also, this is something that can be used if you strategize well to upskill or reskill people very, very quickly. And another important thing is we drive training, right? And how many people remember. So that is where reinforcement play a vital role. Even if I'm taking a training program, because a lot of you must have experienced that 45-minute program is completed in 10 minutes, because that's what the report says. That means that literally as learner has run through. But is there a way I can bring in a checkpoint where if they go wrong on a question, can we take them back? Today technologies help. Okay, so that way we are able to address those gaps right there. And that's where it helps. And also what happens after the training program, if we're able to help them recall, like fight safety. If we maybe after a month, we give them 3 things that they should not forget when an incident happens. So can we do something like that? Yes, that's something that it is possible today. And so that's where it's also important that irrespective of being in the hybrid era, what is also important is we should understand that our learning has to be hybrid, right? Learning has to be hybrid, learning literally, which is a combination of all formats that we have been using, right? It could be an offline training, it could be an online, it could be microlearning, irrespective of whatever it is. And we can use that varied approaches, but we should know how to use all those. It could be starting from classroom to virtual to Zoom sessions to collaboration, social learning. So we should know how to mix and match so that our learners are able to engage. So that's something that which is important and critical. And that's where hybrid learning plays a vital role. That's where technologies today help so that you are able to drive, engage people so that we are able to upskill and reskill them. And so why microlearning has really become an important thing in this hybrid era? Because this is very important because today it's all bite-sized learning where I need to engage a learner, I can create it fast, I can deliver it so that the learner is able to learn easily so that it's also easy for us to create. And also, not only creation, entire management is today very, very, very easy. So that's where microlearning has become so popular globally. And if I have a small learning unit, it's also easy for me to track. Because today there are systems which will give you reports on every slide that the person has spent time. Whether if the slide having a video of say 1 minute, if the learner has spent only 10 seconds, the platform will automatically throw that report slide wise. So it's easy, we know when somebody is not able to do a particular job, we can just maybe go back, the manager can see, okay, he or she has gone through this training, what happened, why is he not able to perform? So that automatically, whether our training programs have been effective or did they take the way we intended to be, is something that automatically systems will throw. And this automatically helps. The insights will make it happen. And most important, this is budget friendly because we not to spend huge amount of money today, wherein we just plan in such a way that it becomes easier to create, deliver, and make it happen faster. And also, if at all we have look at how microlearning has evolved, right? Microlearning has initially it started, as I mentioned earlier, that it was, okay, take the larger program, convert, make them into small pieces and deliver it. Because today, that is not the case. I mean, this is how it started. And then where we started implementing, okay, we'll teach one object at a time because that is the most effective way. If at all you're implementing microlearning, let us focus on one object. Let us not combine multiple things so that it confuses learner. So teach one learning objective, it becomes that much more effective. And as I spoke earlier, reinforcement becomes very important and critical. Because if I teach somebody today, can I help them remember? That is where reinforcement becomes critical and important. And that has to be the strategy, because that's something that I'll also cover slightly in detail a little later. And use gamification in videos, because considering the type of learners that we have to cater to, can we make it interesting? That's something that can be done very, very easily today, because it do not require a lot of time to create gamified activities or even videos. Okay, that's something that becomes easier. And okay, let me see what happens. Okay, so it can be inserted, because these small bytes can be inserted before a program, most importantly during a program when we have particularly induction programs, because what you do is we engage people for 4 or 5 days. So I mean, people is so much of cognitive load. How can we bring in inputs or activities which will help them to engage better so that they are able to engross the content in a better manner is something that which is also important. And continuous learning interventions, because this is what is important, which is most of the organizations, this is something which has to be factored for. Because I roll out a program, can I hold the learner's attention, or can I help them to remember, recall, so that even after 6 months they are able to apply that learning. That is what is important, and that's where continuous learning plays a vital role. And also if you look at some of the research, because particularly the research by RPS research, it says that microlearning has literally helped to engage more than 80%, and most importantly to have that long-term recall by the learner. And also if you look at the report by RPS, so on the software advice, microlearning helps us to create 50% of engagement. And this is something that has been proven globally. This is just couple of case studies I could just bring in here. And if you look at how exactly the learning needs have changed today, because it's also important to assess how microlearning also helps, right? Because where it helps us to improve retention of the concept learned. Because if I have gone through a long program, through reinforcement, can I help learner to remember, and so that I am able to retain the content for longer duration, which becomes important. And as we spoke, it is just-in-time learning, which is critical and important. And reinforcement, because that is, if at all we are able to hold learners' attention for a longer period so that they are able to recall and apply, that reinforcement is a very important activity. And give additional information. When they have time, they can learn at their own pace. But where there is a constraint in time, let's focus on what is really required. And tips and tricks to do their job better is something that can be done very, very easily. And how it can be used, definitely it can be used as an independent nugget. It can be a standalone element. It could be a video, it could be a game. And importantly, it could be maybe when you have longer e-learning programs, it can be something which creates curiosity, because creating curiosity today is very important. So that learner come to a training program so that they are able to have that right attention so that to learn. Or it could be even after the program, like we roll out a large e-learning program, can we do something to engage so that we are able to help learners remember that? That's something that is also important and critical. And most importantly, before, during, or after a classroom session, because there's so much of cognitive load for the learners, can we bring in interventions which is digital, so there is a an activity which they can do in between sessions or post-session or end of the day. So these things automatically engage people. That's something that we have seen work really, really well. And there are a couple of case studies which I'll try to take that today. And what kind of interventions that we can create? It can be any of these, right? It can be an individual nugget. It could be an activity where maybe we give them a task so that they complete and then come back. So that's something that can be a microlearning activity. It could be videos. It could be a question, right? In the first session, there were multiple questions which were thrown and we were all puzzled, right? We were struggling to even get the right answer. So can we create something which engages people so that they start thinking how to do their job better or how to upskill or reskill themselves? Something can be done. Definitely games today attached. Game has to be used in such a manner that it only enables learning. It should not be that they come to play a game, but they come to enjoy the learning. So that game is just a small medium which makes them to engage better. And also about podcasts, right? Because I don't know how many of us have been using, but if at all we are able to generate this small podcast, which is a minute, 2 minutes, which helps people, maybe best practices, somebody must be doing good in one region, maybe ask the person to just record and share his experience. Or a performance in one region is better and somebody talk through that. I think that's something that can automatically help us to engage people. And definitely any learning resource, it could be in the format of PDFs, videos or otherwise, as short as possible. Because we have seen, we roll out 5-minute program, but there's a PDF attached for four pages. That will take him at least half an hour to read. Because we should ensure that whatever we provide just complements the training program. Because that's something which is important. Because knowingly or unknowingly, we have seen this happening, right? And sometimes we all would have done that already. And as I mentioned, continuous learning is critical because this is what very important and which has to be part of our program. Because once we drive a program, continuous learning is something we have been championing for a lot of our customers. Because this, if not implemented, it's very, very easy to implement. That bring in those small reinforcement which helps learner to remember or engage them for a longer duration so that they can do their job better. Because we all forget, right? After this today's session, there will be so many sessions, so many panel conversations. How much of that we are able to remember, right, is also very critical. But if at all we have made notes, I've seen a lot of people making notes during the panel conversation. There's so many things to learn because we all tend to forget. But if those small notes will help us to remember, recall, and that's where we should bring in activities which will help us to really help the learner recall and continue to engage them. And that's where this has literally proved very, very good strategy. Just it requires a little bit planning. And other important thing, yes, we all know about learning in the flow of work, right? Josh Bersin coined this thing, and where he said learner can access anything, anywhere, anytime, okay? And then we are saying now, can we bring in microlearning in the flow of work? Because most of you must be already doing, but learner is able to access anything and everything right there. So if you are able to bring in that, it becomes that much more effective. Because while we have large programs, it could be, say we have compliance programs, never it is small, right? It is all 30-minute to 90-minute programs. Can we bring in something which will help them to recall, right? It could be a post module, right? Can we do something which helps the learner to remember, recall, apply, so that we have seen this really working well, where it impacts productivity, increases engagement, and automatically it is knowledge retention. We are all doing everything so that we have better equipped people to do their job better. And that's where this entire strategy is, that can we bring in continuous learning, use microlearning in an effective manner. And today, if you have to just to cover, microlearning is definitely it is slowly becoming common, right? Most of us would have used that, and also it becomes easier. It is on demand. Learner can learn whatever they want. We can push whatever we want them to learn. It's easy. It is consumable easily, right? If it's a delivery person, if maybe they're waiting for the parcel to get ready, they can also learn. But I think there was a question about culture. If at all we are able to drive that culture well, that if you learn well, if you become better equipped, you can do your job better. Everyone wants to do that, but it all depends how we convey this information, how we engage them throughout becomes very important and critical. And definitely this is something which is budget friendly. Microlearning is something which is easy to create and consume. And also one other thing which is also important is we should know where microlearning cannot be used. I definitely don't want to go to a doctor who has learned or done his MBBS in microlearning, right? There definitely hands-on training is required. So that's something, that clarity we should have. If at all we want to help people remember something where it requires, a formal education cannot be replaced with microlearning or even for e-learning, right? There are certain programs which has to run the way it is required, but this is only to complement, supplement, and somewhere it can be a main training modality. And complex topics like MBBS, right, it cannot be just done. And building a mastery, right, it takes time. If at all we are able to channelize our entire microlearning strategy well, it can help you to build mastery, but it has to be used very, very, very carefully and very diligently, and that continuous effort is something that which is required. And it cannot replace e-learning, right? Certain programs has to be long, okay, but can we supplement, complement that is something that definitely is, it is possible. That's where microlearning comes into a very vital role. So now considering the digitalization, engaging people, it's not only from the business perspective, but it's all these aspects, right? Starting from digital skills to soft skills, ethics, okay, compliance, providing clarity on somebody's job or role, because all these are need for where we have to continue to help engage people, because that's where this becomes also very important and critical, that if our strategy is there to create programs which will help engage learners for longer duration, that's something that automatically helps us to take it forward. And one other important thing, while we have the strategy, what is also important is, can we use the technology, which could be a technology which already you may have an LMS or an LXP, can we use that efficiently? Because no need to invent. But in case there are constraints, that is when you need to bring in platforms, right? That's when platforms like Credo does help to drive this continuous learning journey, okay, in a very, very efficient manner. Technology plays vital role because technology helps you to not only engage people, but also to drive learning. And other important thing is today if you are doing e-commerce on phone, training has to be on phone, right? And that's where literally irrespective of who the learner is, they should be able to access training wherever and however they want. And so that, and create programs which learners enjoy taking, because another important thing, we should not be just giving PDF files or PPT decks and expect them to learn or engage themselves. I think we need to think slightly smarter so that it is easy, because the kind of profile of learners that we address, they are used to YouTubes or Facebook, okay, reading something which is, seeing something which is fancy. So we need to see if we can create something like that, which becomes easier to engage people. And knowledge retention, because this is something which has to be, which is critical, and also it is something which will help you to sustain the training program for longer duration. And analyze as to what is really working, what is not working, where you need to bridge the gaps. That's something that today technologies help, and that's where we can ourselves equip so that our team is ready to do their job better in the future. And when you have right technologies, it also gives us the right reports, right? Because this is what will have a big impact. If we need to generate right reports, I think there was a panel conversation where they said, today technology has to deliver the reports to us at the click of a button. Can we do that? Yes, today technologies do help. Create one is beautiful learning experiences, which becomes that much easier. So today I'm just talking about a platform which is called Credo, which we had launched last year, and this is built for frontline employees, where today you can create courses. This is the only platform globally which has an inbuilt authoring tool. Today, anybody who knows Word, PowerPoint can create some beautiful courses right inside the platform, create learning journeys. It can have combination of your e-learnings, classroom sessions, webinars, PDFs, videos, everything. And you can also attach even catalog content right there, which is available. And automatically whether, other important thing is, it's not only just the training, it's analytics. Even for the learning analytics, learners should know what they are doing, where they are not doing well, and automatically that reports will come to the admin. But at the learner, if you tell them, this is what you are learning, and you can assess yourself, automatically the reports will help them to see where they are lacking the moment they see the leaderboard. And also other important thing is whether learner is sitting in the office or on the field, they should be able to access. Device is just incidental, but if they are able to access it on the phone, on their desktops or laptops, becomes that much easier. And other important thing is, they should be available on any language that they want. Here you can also create courses, not only in English, but entire translation process is automated right there. So that you just trigger the translation, get it reviewed, and the course is available in the language that you require. And anybody, when I'm talking about, and Credo is the only platform globally to be considered as top 20, or we are the only platform from Asia to be there in the top 20 listing. Okay, and this is just less than 2 years old platform, but I think we are happy with what you have tried to accomplish in this small span of time. But it has some great features which helps it to continue to create the differentiator, and there are platforms like these. What also helps is, by taking that's what just a small glimpse, some of the best practices, what is that? And any training that we roll out has to be task oriented. I think we should not provide unnecessary histories, or otherwise if somebody wants to learn, they will find a way. Today everyone knows YouTube, everyone knows how to search content, but can we make them better in their job is something which is important and critical. Reinforcement, remediation are essential, whether we like it or otherwise, whether it's part of our training strategy today, but we need to bring that in, because we need to engage people even after the training is rolled out, because that is important and critical. And definitely quizzes, gamification does help if you are able to engage people after the training program through maybe gamified activities or questions. Automatically they create that engagement, that becomes that much easier. And importantly, wherever possible, we can create videos and deliver. Okay, platforms like Credo, where you can, just the trainer can record the video right there within the system. So that's something that can be done, and this just to give you some quick examples of what is that can be done within Credo, right? Some of these can be created by anyone in this room, right? It doesn't require any big authoring skills. It's a simple platform, create some fantastic learning experiences. These are some of the examples as to how we can do. And activities, it has 50 plus templates. So just plug in a template, put in the content, make changes to the graphic, it's right there and ready to launch. So we have had customers who literally created courses in literally 30 minutes and create memory boosters, or we call it as memory booster for driving continuous learning journey. That's part of the project platform. Social learning collaboration becomes very important and critical. So Credo Learning Platform, just to talk about this, prepared for deskless employees, deliver training of any scale in any language. Is that easy, that simple? And automating the entire onboarding process, because we all know about the challenges within the retail attrition rates, but how easy it is to train people the moment they join in. This is completely automated. You can automate that entire training program. Not only individual courses, you can create entire learning path or learning journey for them. Okay, that's something that we have automated, and create really engaging and fun-based e-learning programs. That's something that we do. And other important thing is, yes, it gives right analytics which will help you to assess as to what is working, where you need to focus on. And quickly talk about, we are the only platform, there were a couple of weeks ago, we were part of Retail Tech Awards. We are the only learning platform which we won. We were in the top 3, we never expected. But I think it's a proud moment for us, because we are literally competing with all the companies who help even a Kirana shop to go to e-commerce. We were the only learning platform which were in the competition in the top 10. I think it's a proud moment for us. I think I would like to thank Arya and others and the jury to have recognized that. And to quickly talk about how do you help, how does Credo help you create seamless training? Definitely anybody can visualize and create training programs. It's that seamless. And learners can access on any device. We saw that. Drive personalized learning, because that's important. Critical engage learners through gamification and experiential learning, which is critical, reward, recognize, and today customers would literally drive that seamlessly through that. And continuous learning, because this is something which is critical and important. I think that's something which I always stress that we focus on. So maybe I'll just skip this. I think I'm running through, and there's one case study which I'll take. Maybe I'll just skip this because I have 37 seconds to go. And let me take this one case study, which is by Lenskart. Lenskart users has been using Credo for quite some time now, maybe 8-9 months. And their engagement rate is 93%. Literally all their teams across the globe, not only India, today they are a global company, uses that. But what they have managed to do, their own trainers have become today course creators, and they have become enablers now than just training delivery. That if learners have a question, they are able to, they fill in that gap, so that automatically when the courses are created, like considering the range of products they release every month, they need to train everyone in no time. So that's something which is important and critical. They have managed to do, which because of that, their learners are able to have better conversations, which automatically has better customer engagement. The moment better customer engagement, better sales, better retention of people. That's been the mantra, and we did hear from the panel that if business leaders are driving training, it does create a wonder. And Lenskart is a great example where the business leaders are driving that. And importantly, because they need not to depend on any external agency to create any courses. They have so far saved, we did a top level calculation because it's a case study which we are publishing, almost 1.5 crore which they saved in the last 9 months. But that's itself what the power which a platform like Credo does offer. And to quickly conclude, microlearning is here to definitely stay, and is evolved over the period of time. Definitely is a great tool if you're able to engage people throughout their learning life cycle. And definitely continuous learning has to augment our main training programs, because that's important. Just to talk about quickly about Tesseract Learning, we are based out of Bangalore today, service customers across 18 nations globally. We provide custom e-learning, Credo as a platform, as well as ready-made content. We have won ourselves a lot of awards globally. We are globally known for our digital learning solutions. These are some of my contacts. I would love to connect up with you, and we are right there. As you enter, out of this room, we'll right there, and there are some exciting prizes to be won. So there is maybe a small form. One of my colleagues can just share that. I think this is just to test, because whatever I have covered in my presentation is right there. These are 4 simple questions which should take a couple of minutes for you to fill in. So that is the way to see if my session was really impactful or otherwise. So with that, I conclude. Thank you very much for patiently listening to me, and have a nice day.